Am I the a-hole for gifting my mom and her husband a book on cheating for their anniversary? I'm 16 male and I love my mom, 35, but when I was 10, she had an affair and left us. I visited her as often as I could and she always seemed so happy when I was there, but I hated her new family so I stopped visiting. Honestly, we rarely ever saw each other after just for my birthday and events really. She wants us to be close, but I want nothing to do with her new husband, so I've kept my distance. Except on February 20th. My dad announced he'd be out on business till the 12th, and my grandparents are stuck visiting relatives in Italy, and so I really had nowhere to go. And my mom jumped at a chance to have me stay with her. And just my luck that my mom's anniversary with her husband was on Sunday. I haven't had a good time here at all, so all I do is stay in my room doing homework or go out with friends to avoid family activities. Because it sucks seeing how lovey-dovey she is with her husband, and how they seem like the perfect family with her daughters. But the morning before her anniversary day, she came to my bed and tried to cuddle with me like before she left us. But it made me angry. Like, we can't go back in time and pretend it's how it was. So I just pretended to be asleep and stayed curled up and frozen till she left. I started crying because of that, and I felt angry and snarky. My mom majored in literature, so I got her a copy of Anna Karenina for her anniversary. That book's about a lady who leaves her husband and on for her lover. I've never read it, but I watched the movie with my girlfriend and I hated it. The anniversary party was on Sunday. Everyone was having fun but me, and then people gave their gifts. I gave mine, and when my mom saw what it was, she seemed shocked, but just said thanks. The party ended like an hour after, but at night when she was in her room, I heard her crying really loudly. So I kinda eavesdropped a little, and heard her saying stuff about that book and me, and her husband trying to calm her. The next day at breakfast, she left for work early before I woke up, and her husband straight up called me an a-hole, and other stuff for gifting them that. It's been a few days now, and my mom has barely talked to me. Honestly, I feel so wrong I made my mom cry, but at the same time, I don't want to be here and she knows that. So, am I really the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Definitely not the a-hole. For one, Anna Karenina is a classic and a great gift. For another, if the shoe fits, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. She wouldn't take it so hard or understand what you were implying if she didn't already feel that way. Not the a-hole. Your mom had to face her past horrible behavior, and your gift caused her to have to confront the fact that her affair affects you negatively to this day. Her husband needs to stay the heck out of it. If he says anything else to you, perhaps you should challenge him on it. Oh, so you'd be okay with my mom cheating on you and walking away from you and your kids for a new man? Because that's what your behavior is telling me. And from the point of view of the kid who was left, I can tell you it has affected me in a negative way ever since it happened. And your crappy attitude is the largest reason why I don't like to visit with my mom. I don't like you, never have. So keep your opinions about me to yourself. Don't let your mom's tears guilt you. Did any of your tears after she left your family ever move her to action? Follow her lead on that. That is a stone-cold gift. A+, not the a-hole. Seriously, that was amazing. I'm very curious as to what your father would have to say about this. Is there any way that you could please update us? Thank you. I'll see. I made this backup to rant about my mom, so maybe I will. Not the a-hole. My dad cheated on my mom when I was in high school and went on to marry the woman he had an affair with. It has changed my relationship with my dad forever. Especially because he tried to force the one big happy family thing with her and her kids, as soon as he sold our family home and moved in with her. Your mom does not get to force herself back into your life in her terms, the cuddles, to make herself feel better, and in the process making you feel worse. My dad did the same, and it's awful. You're not a teddy bear. She needs to recognize the lasting damage she's done and stop expecting you to fit the role she's assigned you in her head. Next story. Am I the a-hole for getting upset at the jokes that I am not family? Plus little update. I, Pam, 29 female, am 4 months pregnant with my fiancé Matt, 34 male, and my first child. His family on the whole are very welcoming and often include me, except for some comments that they make that really hurt my feelings. These comments always refer to me not being a part of the family. At our engagement party that his parents wanted to throw for us, I made a speech saying thank you to the best in-laws. And his mom made a statement in front of everyone how I shouldn't say that as we are not family yet. I would like to add that his mom has had a few phone calls with Matt's ex-girlfriend in front of me, where she would be reminding the ex that they are family. 2 days ago, the mom said that she wanted family photos, but could only do it once my baby was born as I won't be family until then. The whole family then proceeds to tell me how we must not be too sure that we are having a boy, and I'm not allowed to buy boys' clothes. They rained in our parade as we were happy with the news. We would have been thrilled either way, and feel like it is because they thought we were going to have a girl. Matt at first told me that they are joking with me, and that they wouldn't if I wasn't family when I try to talk to him about it. He has recently started to see things from my side when I pointed out that my family doesn't do this. Then today, I'm on a family group and the uncle posts this exact message. Dear family and Pam, I want to have a get-together for my birthday and was planning a day out in the countryside on Sunday. Is everyone available and Pam? I sobbed and lost it. I phoned Matt and said I'm leaving the group. Before I left, I replied, sorry, but I have family things that day, and exited. His uncle thinks that I can't take a joke. Matt supports me on this and understands why I'm hurt, but a part of me feels like maybe I overreacted. And what if I just can't take a joke? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. This hurts that the unmarried ex-girlfriend is considered family. It appears that she still is, and you're not. Does Matt have children with the ex-girlfriend? They do not have any children together, but her mom and Matt's mom are best friends. He finds it awkward that she brought it up, but he never says anything. Just to add, she cheated on him and treated him like trash, and this hurts me even more that she is considered family. Sounds like your fiancé needs to have a come-to-Jesus talk with his mother about this, that she is choosing someone who cheated on her son. Like this says more about her than anything else. Not stay home. Don't invite them to any baby-related things since they're not family. Where's your husband/fiancé in all this? Why can't he have your back? So he originally said that they were joking with the original comments. That means that they think of me as family. He loves his family and I get that it is hard to realign, but he has slowly been considering it from the receiver's side. However, after what his uncle posted, he is pissed at them and said enough is enough and it isn't a joke anymore. He has apologized and is now standing firmly with me. Next time they say it's a joke, ask them to elaborate. And what part is the joke? It's only a joke if both sides are laughing. They're just being a-holes. It might be tough for your fiancé to realize his family is very toxic. Update. Matt's mom phoned to say how awful that message from his uncle was, and how she is glad I stood up for myself, which was very ironic. Matt actually took the phone call and set things, and boundaries, straight with his parents. Turns out, in the last few days, Matt's sister also told his mother that Matt's ex and her mother are not family, and stood up for me. Things are looking much brighter. Added, I wanted to say a massive thank you to you all. I'm a person who backs down easily and always wants to keep the peace. This has helped me to realize that when things are not okay, then change them. And it is okay to set things right with Matt so he can sort it with his family. All of this thinking of family has me thinking of Vin Diesel Fast and Furious memes, to be honest, and I'm having a good giggle. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not telling my daughter's father that she has cancer? I, female 24, have a 3-year-old daughter with my ex, male 27. We split up in December 2020 after I found out he cheated on me, and since then, he has been almost completely absent in my daughter's life. He has visited a grand total of 10 times, never pays for any costs at all, insults both me and her. It has made nasty posts on his Instagram calling me an ugly, cheap woman. It has made several posts calling our daughter ugly as well. Flash forward to a few weeks ago and my daughter started complaining of pain and was running a fever and had some pretty nasty bruising. I freaked out and took her to the doctor only to be told that it was a virus that would go away and that it wasn't COVID or flu. I called my ex and was trying to tell him how worried I was, but he told me he didn't care and hung up. Because of this, I cut him off and just resolved not to tell him anything else. Eventually, I took my daughter back to the doctors and begged them to do something else. Blood tests and other tests were performed, and it turns out she has B-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia. This is the scariest moment in my life. As I sit here writing this, my daughter is down for sedation and counts. We've been in the hospital since her diagnosis 2 weeks ago. I've cried more than I've ever cried in my entire life, and seeing her tiny body infested with this horrible disease is almost more than I can handle. Last night, I made a Facebook post about my daughter. My Facebook is private, and I'm not friends with my ex or any of his friends. I'm friends with his sister though, but we haven't talked since I broke up with him, so I pretty much forgot about it. Well, she saw the post and told him. I didn't check my phone most of today because I am so preoccupied that I don't have time. When I opened my messages today, I saw over 20 messages from my ex and his mother, calling me horrible names, telling me I should have told them, and that I'm an awful person for not telling them. He called me a cheap woman again, and told me that it was his daughter too, and he had a right to know about this. I asked if he would like to come see her, and he declined, but twisted this to his family, and now everybody's mad at me. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You already called to tell him she was ill and in the hospital. When he said, "I don't care," and hung up, what precisely were you supposed to take from that, other than his words at face value? If you feel the need to drop a clanger, I suggest a group text including him and all his family, so they all get it at once. Dear a-hole and family, I would like to give you an update on daughter's condition, but unfortunately I do not feel comfortable doing this. You see, when I originally took daughter to the hospital and was told it was a virus, I called a-hole and he told me in no uncertain terms that he did not care and hung up on me. Since then, I have taken his words for face value. Never mind the terrible names he calls myself and daughter. Given the texts I've received from everyone since then, I can see that I was correct in feeling that none of you truly care about daughter, since no one bothered to ask how she is and only proceeded to attack me. You should all be ashamed of yourself, but that's probably too highbrow for trash. From now on, unless you can be civil and helpful, don't contact me. OP. Thank you. Someone else at least pointed out the fact the man, I say this as a noun and nothing more, is abusive towards a little girl. Like, what kind of father, if he was a good one, would tell the mother he didn't care that his kid was in the ER? Especially since kids' immune systems aren't exactly stellar. And at age 3, kids like to stick random objects, trash, toys, and so forth into their mouths, so the common flu, cold, and everything else is common. Add in a pandemic, and it's not a fun time for kids. And I totally agree with the note. I'd screenshot all the texts and voicemails, some can be transcribed into text, and add them to the note. And say, this is the crap he's been sending. And I'd include previous ones prior to this showing him not caring about his kid. I just hope she'll be okay. Thankfully, it's been caught early, so she has amazing chances. Jesus, I'm so sorry this is happening. 100% not a-hole. Also, screw him right in the ear. You tried to tell him she was sick, even if you didn't know at the time it was cancer, and he blew it off. End of story. As for the rest of the family being mad at you, if you're not mad at him for calling you a cheap woman and his own daughter ugly, well, screw him. They suck and their opinions don't matter. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents, especially my dad, what happened to my brother was partly their fault because they enabled him? The problems with my brother's weight became so bad it qualified for bariatric surgery. Before the surgery, he ended up being taken to the A&E and was admitted. The doctor told him he needed to lose weight. His food intake was supposed to be controlled, but instead of losing weight, he gained nearly 4 stone, nearly 50 pounds. Turns out, my parents, especially my dad, were sneaking food to him on their visits. My brother lives with my parents, and they bring him food because he's unable to go out or make it on his own. He chooses to eat, but lately he relies on my parents for meals. My dad was even caught bringing him food he isn't supposed to have. The hospital has social workers and the authorities involved. My parents, especially my dad, are being looked at for neglect. And although my brother is an adult, they are looking at whether my brother could be classified as vulnerable due to his addiction, although he is a mentally competent adult. I'm not sure how it will go, as I don't live with them or know the law in this area. But my parents are banned for seeing my brother right now, and the hospital is trying again with some weight loss prior to surgery. My brother needs round-the-clock care, so he's still in the hospital. His weight last I heard is 40 stone 10, 570 pounds. I'm not sure now as the hospital isn't giving my parents updates. When my dad wouldn't stop calling me angry and upset over it, and saying the authorities are out of line and trying to get me to help fund a legal challenge, I told him he shouldn't have brought food to my brother. My mom is furious that I upset him, and says my brother didn't like the food they were giving him, and that dad was just doing what he thought was best. Should I have not said anything about my dad enabling or been honest with him? My mom says I crossed a line because I'm not a carer for him, and it's the crux of the arguments I've had with her. Not stay home. Your parents are literally killing your brother. Hopping on top comment to say, if the brother isn't completely dedicated to weight loss, bariatric surgery isn't going to help him long term. I'm on a waiting list for it myself, so I'm researching it as much as possible. You can still eat terribly if you want to with high-calorie lighter foods. You're just initially forced to eat smaller amounts. If you want to stretch your stomach out again, you can, but not following doctor's instructions. Opie, you used stone. Are you in the UK like I am? There's years-long waiting lists for it on the NHS if so, and usually you have to lose 5 to 10% of your body weight and keep it off to prove you're committed. The surgery is just a tool. It doesn't do the work for you. He has to want to use it. Please consider talking to him gently and make sure he wants this. If he doesn't, it's not going to work. Not Day Hall, and you were right. Your folks are enabling him. But unless he wants to live differently, this isn't going to help him. Good luck, OB. Not stay home. It is partly their fault. Not entirely, but partly. If they deny it, they're delusional. Until he got into hospital, the nanny gains were 100% their fault because they were circumventing the system with a person who they knew would be vulnerable and eat what they brought. Not stay home. They're causing harm to your brother and should be cut off. If they were good parents, he wouldn't be morbidly overweight. They are killing him with misplaced care. Not stay home. To be fair to my parents, my brother was nearly 29 stone when he went to live with them again. Prior to that, he lived on his own and was already obese. My parents, especially my dad, enabled him at his problems, but they were there when he was on his own already. Your parents are sour, they're facing consequences for disobeying hospital's rules. I'd expect you to participate in the same fantasy that what they're doing is best for your brother. Your parents are delusional. Am I the a-hole for not providing for my children's half-sister? So I, female 31, have been married twice. My first marriage was to Ted. It was short-lived, but Ted and I had 2 children together, James 11 and Maggie female 10. They're close in age. Ted and I separated in 2016. In our state, you have to be legally separated a year before you got divorced, if you have children born in the marriage. 4 months out of the year separation date, Ted committed bigamy. He got remarried before we were legally divorced. It prolonged our divorce by several months. In the end, Ted was convicted of several felonies and given strict probation. I told the judge I just wanted to be divorced. The courts annulled the marriage to the second woman because it wasn't legal. Ted stayed with the second woman, Beth, for 5 or so years to my understanding, and in that time frame, they had a daughter together who is almost 5. The daughter is under the mom's last name due to them not being married, so my children with him are his only legitimate children according to state law. Ted walked out on Beth and their child for another woman. Ted is ordered to pay the minimum in child support for their child, but remains voluntarily unemployed so he can avoid payments. Ted does not claim the daughter is had with Beth. Ted has told his new girlfriend that he has only 2 children, not 3. Beth and her family believe the lies Ted told them. Ted told Beth that I took his house and his money. Ted had neither of these things. I've remarried and the home we reside in belonged to my now spouse before I married him. My children live a drastically better lifestyle than child of Beth and Ted. My ex-mother-in-law, the mom of Ted, refuses to have a relationship with her 3rd grandchild, but gives my children lavish gifts and nice things. Beth and her family say I should split things 3 ways instead of 2, so the daughter can inherit a portion of what I've been leaving my children. They say she is entitled to it because Ted is the dad to all of them. The family has asked for money, diapers, and other things, saying I have a responsibility to the child, since all of the family Ted has favor my children. I have even been contacted by an attorney hired by the third child's maternal family who asked me to update everything so the child gets a portion. My dad died in 2019 and left me a substantial inheritance. Beth and her family want her child included in this. I feel like it's not my place to tend to a child I didn't give birth to, but I'm being called selfish because I said no. Because the child is under her mom's last name, they'd have to approach the courts to ask a judge to legitimize this child. As of right now, the child is not legally allowed to inherit anything Ted or his paternal family may have. I don't know if he's on the birth certificate. I'm guessing so because he pays child support. The judge mentioned that my children are his only legitimate children due to them being born within our marriage. So I guess he can pay support to the child still be illegitimate? My children carry his last name, which holds a lot with state law. Am I the a-hole for not providing for my children's half-sister? Edit. When Beth filed for child support, she told her attorney what Ted had told her, that I had taken everything he'd had. The attorney put in a request to have property included in the amount of support Beth would get. I guess like Ted and I sell or something. The DA in the county Beth lives in, which is like an hour away, had a summons sent out to me. I had to provide divorce documents, proof Ted had never been on the deed of my home, and a lawyer for Beth had dug around and found out about what my dad left me. The attorney tried to tell the judge that the child was entitled to a portion of all this because I had been married to Ted, but the judge shot it down. The lawyer also tried to say my children didn't carry the same last name, as Ted and I proved otherwise. I never had to go back because the judge knew they were grasping at flies, so to speak. Ted was ordered to pay Beth $52 a month, which is the minimum for one child with an unemployed parent. Beth doesn't work either. Ted works under the table to avoid giving Beth money. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Seriously, what the heck? I feel so sorry for the kid in all this having a total deadbeat father, but that doesn't make it your responsibility at all. Deadbeat dad and cuckoo mother. She wants her kid to have a share in OP's inheritance from her father's estate. Neither father nor OP are related to the kid. The mom is just as bad as Ted, greedy and grasping. Not the a-hole. Stop engaging with Beth and her greedy family. You have zero obligation towards her or her child. This, and report that attorney to the Bar Association for even contacting you with such a frivolous threat, or hire an attorney to send Beth and her attorney a strongly worded letter to tell them to get the heck out of here. Asking is probably legal. Demanding? Would it be? Because the lawyer would know there were no legal grounds. Yes, I'm a lawyer. We always know. But there are those in my profession that will use scare tactics, unethically, to obtain something the client isn't entitled to gain. This lawyer is hassling OP, probably because they cannot put this on the grandparents. There is no world under which OP has to share what her kids get, gifts, money, etc., with Beth. That probably includes an inheritance from the grandparents. I don't know for certain because I don't know where OP lives, but it is probably true if her kids are seen as the only legitimate heirs. It is Ted who is responsible for all three. His parents are most likely free to pass their assets to OP's children. Next story. Am I the a-hole for ending my relationship with my girlfriend after she revealed to me that she's child-free? I, male 33, have been in a relationship with my significant other, Tara, female 32, for the past 1.5 years. I've always wanted children, and for the past weeks I've been floating the idea to Tara. When we first met, I made it abundantly clear to her that I eventually wanted children, and she said that she wanted the same. Overall, I'd say that Tara has been a fantastic significant other. She is head over heels for me, and it is partially because she has never had a relationship last longer than a few weeks. However, since I've been bringing this up recently, she seems to like avoiding the topic, or will straight up change subjects. Lately, I've even noticed how her face just drops whenever I mention the topic. Last Saturday, I brought up the idea again to her, and she then asked if we could have a frank and honest conversation. I agreed, and basically what she told me was that she didn't want children. When I asked why, she told me that she didn't want to for reasons. She then started saying things like how she lied because it's tough dating people and being child-free, etc. I asked her if there was any chance she'd change her mind, and she said she wouldn't. Surprisingly, things went pretty normal. But I was thinking about this constantly. In the following days, Tara seemed much happier and more affectionate, and started saying things like how she felt so relieved that I didn't get upset or something. Honestly though, after thinking it through and speaking with my parents, I didn't think I'd be able to continue the relationship. So Wednesday, I sat her down and told her about my feelings and how I didn't think our relationship could continue. Tara was extremely upset, more than I had ever seen, and ended up leaving before the conversation was even over. She's been gone since then, and she's even left all her belongings at my apartment. I did, however, hear from one of her friends that she's staying with a friend who lives pretty close to us. She also stopped going to work and is spending most of her days crying and not even eating. I spoke with some of my own friends and they think I overreacted considering that I should have expected as much, considering Tara doesn't like talking about her childhood since she had bad memories about that. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. As someone who has no interest in kids, I find it difficult to understand why you would begin a committed relationship without making abundantly clear. Children is such a huge role in a relationship, and it's fair for it to be a make or break deal. I think if she told you prior to getting together and you acted like it's fine, you'd be the a-hole. Or even if she just changed her priorities as under, but she lied to you from the get-go. She said it was because she didn't think I'd stay around if she told me from the get-go. Guess I kinda proved her right, unfortunately. That's such a crappy thing to do. Like, yes, let me just lie about this major part of myself for a year and a half so I'm not alone? Huh? If she wants her wishes of being child-free respected, she needs to respect people who don't. Yeah, it sucks. Part of me is thinking maybe I should just try being child-free so I can reconcile with her. But I've always wanted kids. The whole thing just made me sad. Not the a-hole. She lied to you to manipulate you and it's a deal breaker for you, so you're totally justified in breaking it off. It's a total breach of trust. Don't let her guilt trip you into returning. This is why dating sucks. The most amazing chemistry can be spoiled by just one pragmatic reality. If she's not had a proper relationship before, then it makes sense that she's very upset. But it's her problem now, to be honest. I would arrange for her friend to collect her things. Yeah, I started discussing that with her friends. They said they'd come by sometime next week. We'll arrange a time. The whole thing kinda sucks. Yeah, breakups do, bud. Sorry you have to deal with this. Do you have some good friends and family around? Next story. Am I the a-hole for flipping out on my fiancé in front of a crowd because he keeps taking my brand new vehicle without even telling me? My fiancé Tom has a habit of taking my stuff without asking because he feels I should be able to do the same with his stuff. He's constantly saying, "You don't have to ask, just take it. What's mine is yours," whenever I ask to use anything of his. And he expects to have the same rule applied when it comes to my belongings. I never agreed to this. In fact, I have voiced multiple times that it's rude not to ask, and have voiced irritation when he uses my stuff without asking. When it comes to small stuff, I get irritated because he never puts my stuff back where it belongs. And then I have to go on a wild goose chase to find the item because he can't remember where he put it down either. He has ADHD. For instance, he forgets all of his travel mugs in his vehicle and instead of going to grab them, he will just take mine until all the travel mugs are in his vehicle. But honestly, the main issue is money in my vehicle, if I'm being honest. If he needs something and he doesn't have the money, he will just take my debit card without asking beforehand because he would expect me to do the same with his debit card if I need something. More recently, I bought a brand new vehicle and there are days when I wake up in the morning and him and my vehicle are gone because he's taken my vehicle to go to the gym instead of his vehicle because mine is far better on gas. Or he went to donate his old clothing the other day and again took my vehicle. Or he went grocery shopping 4 nights ago and took my vehicle. And last night, we had a bunch of people over and one of his buddies needed to go to the store. So Tom said he would go with him and he just grabbed my vehicle keys. I told him no. He just kind of stood there staring at me. So I said, "What? You're not taking my vehicle to drive your friend around." Start asking to use my stuff because I'm getting extremely ticked off that you take my vehicle all the time. And if you have my debit card, you better leave that on a counter too, because you're not taking that either. He looked extremely embarrassed and put both my keys and my debit card on a counter and walks outside. He comes back in maybe 5 minutes later saying his buddy decided to take off for the night and then he went upstairs to our bedroom. Later on, when everyone else left, he said that I embarrassed him. That if it was such a big deal for him to use my stuff, then I should have brought it up prior to this. I told him I had brought it up several times, in fact, because him constantly using my stuff is really building a wall of resentment at this point. He has his own vehicle, he has his own money, he has his own means to do things, so why is he using mine? He said he lost his debit card. True, he lost it 2 days ago and is waiting for a replacement, and that he didn't feel the vehicle issue was even something to get worked up about, because I am allowed to use his vehicle whenever I want. He's given me permission, but I refuse to drive it. I've only driven it twice because I had to in the past 3 years. He says I shouldn't have embarrassed him like that, and I should have waited until everyone was gone to say something. But I am getting tired of saying anything. It's my stuff. Don't touch it without permission. I don't think it's a hard concept. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your fiancé is taking your stuff without asking is not cool. Tom keeps using your new car and debit card without permission. You've told him to stop many times, but he doesn't listen. You finally called him out in front of friends when he tried to take your car again. He says you embarrassed him, but you're just setting boundaries. Your stuff, your rules. This speaks and says he never respected OP's boundaries. I wish people would be better at understanding patterns. OP is just means to an end to this selfish a-hole. He does not respect OP at all. If he did, he wouldn't be taking her things whenever it suits him, knowing well that OP would never do that to him. Her words have no meaning to him. He just does as he pleases, and she keeps hoping he'll change. But he won't. This is going to be OP's life in big and small things, until she has wasted years of her life and he has sucked her dry. He is selfish, and has no intention of ever not putting himself first. Not the a-hole. He only heard you this time because he felt embarrassed. He probably still didn't hear her. Might be butthurt for a while and then go back to using her stuff without asking. And if she brings it up, he brings up her embarrassing him, because he still doesn't get it. Doesn't want to get it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for making a comment about a woman's body after she tried to shame me and my girlfriend? My girlfriend and I got invited to this engagement party that my friend from undergrad has. I found out later that a girl, I'll call her Erin, and I went on a few dates with in undergrad was going. Normally, this wouldn't matter at all, but after I told her I wasn't feeling a romantic spark but we could be friends, Erin flipped out on me. She would send me tons of voicemails telling me I was leading her on. I was shallow. Not sure what prompted this. Never told her I didn't like her because of her appearance, and I wouldn't find anyone else but her, etc., etc. It's been several years since undergrad, so I assumed that she would have hopefully chilled out or have forgotten about me. Fast forward to the party, me and my girlfriend are mingling, and my girlfriend is very nice and friendly, so she's getting along with everyone. I run into Erin, and she immediately makes a comment in a snide tone. Oh hey, I didn't know you'd be here. Almost didn't recognize you with the dad bod. I just say hello and try to ignore her, but she's kind of following me for a bit. She makes another snide comment when she saw my girlfriend from afar by saying, "She's so thin." I always knew that was your type. And I ask Erin to please leave me alone for the night, and she just stomps away. I find my girlfriend and we were hanging out and having fun until Erin comes up to us and makes a comment. Oh, Opie, who is this? My girlfriend introduces herself politely before I could say something and compliments Erin's nails. Erin doesn't even introduce herself and says in a condescending tone, "I wish I could pull off the dress you're wearing, but I think it only works for people with small boobs." I try to keep my cool because we are all way too old for this, but I became really agitated with Erin making comments about people's bodies. I snapped back and said, "I think it'd be difficult to pull off for you in the waist area. If you want to know where we got this dress, I'd be happy to send you the link in a bigger size." Erin immediately recoils. She doesn't say anything and leaves. Later that night, a few mutual friends came up to me saying they saw Erin sobbing and told them I called her fat and ruined her night. My girlfriend tells me Erin was projecting her insecurities onto us and she wasn't even mad, just sad for her. I admit it was not the most mature move I've done, but how warranted was my comment? Am I the a-hole? She can obviously dish it out, but can't take it. Perhaps you taught her a valuable lesson. It takes no more effort to be nice than it does to be a douche. Perhaps you taught her a valuable lesson. Perhaps not though. Considering she went crying to other people about how mean Opie was, she sounds like the type who thinks it's mean when done to her, but if she does it to someone else, it's just telling it like it is. Some people just lack self-awareness and empathy. They can only ever see things from their own point of view. I know someone like this. They're always only telling it like it is or only joking. But when you say something back, they're suddenly a victim. I don't have the time or the care. Bye, Felicia. Not the a-hole. Hopefully you let others know she made poor comments first. But the fact that your girlfriend said she feels sorry for Erin and she's not upset, you got yourself a winner. That's why she's still the girlfriend. He's obviously not letting her go. And for Erin with her attitude, she doesn't deserve someone. Am I the a-hole for saying no when my family said I should let my sister have her honeymoon at my house? Backstory. My house used to belong to my parents, but they sold it to me in 2017. It had been a family vacation home of sorts. Every couple of years when my grandparents were alive, they'd invite us kids up there for a week. Fast forward to the end of 2016, my sister got accepted to her dream college. Won't say which, but it's a big one. Everyone was excited and proud of her. Me too. But a week after that, my parents called asking if I'd found a house yet. I was looking for one and my family knew it. I've been saving up since I started my first job at 20. I said no, so my dad suggested I buy the lake house from them. I asked why they wanted to sell it. Turns out sister didn't have any savings for college, didn't get some scholarship like she'd planned, and our parents couldn't afford to pay for everything either. I asked why she didn't get student loans, and they said they didn't want her ruining her credit. So their solution was to sell the lake house and use the money from that to finance her college. I had lots of good memories from the lake house, so eventually I agreed. I work via computers, so after getting a good internet connection out there, moved right in and been there since. My significant other moved in permanently last year before lockdown, and it's been pretty blissful. 2019. My sister and her college boyfriend got engaged. Parents agreed to pay for her wedding, but like with every other wedding around then, things got set back. Sister had to postpone her wedding until this year, and she plans to have it in December. I even agreed to be in the bridal party. Issues came up recently when my sister asked where I was going to stay for the 2 weeks after her wedding. Puzzled, I answered, my house? She got a sour look and said that wouldn't work. Her and fiancé would be there and they wanted private time. I asked why they'd be at my house, and she said that's where they were having their honeymoon. 2 weeks alone at a lake house. I said that was news to me, and she insisted our parents said it was fine, but I said it wasn't their place to make decisions about my house. After arguing, she called our parents who said I was being unreasonable. I said I didn't want my sister and her fiancé christening their new union by being intimate in my house. They said I was being gross and selfish. I said no again, so sister threatened to remove me from the bridal party. I just shrugged and said okay. She starts crying, saying she already couldn't have her dream wedding like she wanted, and now I was trying to ruin her honeymoon too. I told her to rent a hotel room like every other newlywed couple, then hung up. She's not speaking to me, and I'm uninvited to the wedding. Our parents keep calling me and saying I should do this for her since her wedding's only 1/3 what she wanted it to be. But I'm not comfortable with them staying unsupervised at my house. They're making me feel like a monster for saying no. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. I don't know if it's just me, but the favoritism is shining brighter than the sun. Not the a-hole. Your sister is crazy for expecting that before even conforming with you. It's definitely not you. I could see the favoritism shining from a mile away. Very easy to see who the golden child is here. OP not the a-hole. It's your home, so your parents and sister have absolutely no say whatsoever who can and can't stay there without consulting the person who owns the property. They sold it to you, so it's no longer the family holiday / lake house. It's your house. They don't get to take the money from the sale and still dictate who can and can't use it. That's not how selling a house works. Period. Not the a-hole. They don't have money to cover for her education to the point of selling a house, but they do for her wedding? She doesn't get to guilt you for already not having her dream wedding because she chose to get married at a time in which she still depends on her parents. What she needs is a reality check, not a wedding. Until your parents stop treating her like their little princess, she's gonna be a lost cause, which you don't have to take any responsibility for. I actually worry about this a lot. I wonder how she's going to survive after our parents pass away because they're not young anymore. They're getting old, and once they're gone, I'm not taking their place to cuddle her. My family said I should let my sister have her honeymoon at my house. I'm sorry, what now? Look, it's your house now. It's been your home for 4 years. Not only do your parents have no business giving anyone permission to stay at your home, what the heck was your sister thinking that you just moved out of your home for 2 weeks? Which would also mean you're paying money for their honeymoon. Not just because you would need a hotel, but also because you're the one paying for the utilities. And while it was rather crass to explicitly say what they would be doing in your house, it is accurate and reasonable to object to them staying at your house. She's not speaking to me and I'm uninvited to the wedding. So, not only entitled, but incredibly petty and vindictive. Our parents keep calling me and saying I should do this for her since her wedding is only 1/3 what she wanted it to be. That's unfortunate for her, but that doesn't make it okay to demand others give her anything because of it. It certainly doesn't make it okay to demand someone give up their home for 2 weeks. Not today, Hall. Yeah, if she wanted to visit with her fiancé, then I could handle that. I'd still be skeeved out that they'd more than likely be bumping uglies out of earshot of me and my significant other. But I would have handled that better than her basically asking me to leave for 2 weeks for her. Little update. Well, learned something new today. I spoke to my sister, like a few people suggested, and asked her if she knew the lake house was legally my house. As in, I bought it years ago. She was not, in fact, aware of this. She was under the impression from our parents that they were letting me live there rent-free. I corrected her and even showed her proof that they sold the house to me. And when she asked why they sold it, I was honest and said it was to pay for her college tuition/lifestyle. She became quiet after that and we soon hung up. No idea what's going to happen now. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for kicking my wife's brother out of my wedding? To start, I just want to mention that my brother-in-law Dennis, male 24 and I male 28, don't see eye to eye with each other because we're both very different individuals. He's a bit arrogant and doesn't like to spend time with family. My wife tried to have us spend more time together, but me and Dennis just don't get along. Simple as that. My in-laws are his providers, and they also raise hell on whoever tries to disrespect him. They love me as well, so that's nice. At least I thought. Anyway, so when I visited Dennis to personally hand him my wedding invitation, he told me he may not be attending because he planned to go fishing that day. I couldn't tell if it was a joke, but I didn't care, although this is his sister's wedding. At my wedding, I thought Dennis wasn't coming, and his dad said he's gone fishing. My wife was upset until he showed up, but I wasn't happy. I was mad when I saw that he showed up in t-shirt and shorts, sunglasses and flip-flops. I flipped the hell out and asked what the hell he was wearing. He said it perfectly matches the weather, and complained that it's hot and we could have just picked an indoor venue with air conditioning instead. The guests were staring. Dennis said he didn't give a damn. I pulled him aside and demanded he go change if he still wanted to be at the wedding. My father-in-law gave the leave him alone look, and my wife was shocked. But I certainly told him he needed to have some respect and not wear freaking flip-flops at my wedding. He left and came back in 40 minutes wearing a tuxedo very, very similar to mine with the same bow tie and same everything. My best man was the first to see. He was shocked and told me we had a problem. I had it. I immediately walked up to him to stop him from being seen by the guests. Asked him if he was crazy and yelled at him to leave. My in-laws got involved and told me to back off. This event isn't mine alone, therefore I have no right to kick their son out for following the rules, and accused me of intentionally excluding him from his sister's wedding. He told his parents to not bother with me, shouting, "He's jealous," in front of my family. I kicked him out and told my in-laws they were next if they tried to bring him back. My in-laws were livid and kept berating me for hours, demanding I apologize for making Dennis miss his only sister's wedding. We haven't talked in a week, and my wife says Dennis and I are both a-holes. Was I the a-hole? Everyone sucks here, except your wife. But you, most of all. You. Nowhere in this do I see your wife's opinion, except until after the facts. You don't kick out your partner's sibling without their opinion, period. Also, personally, I don't give a damn what people would be wearing to my wedding as long as my loved ones are there. You sound like appearances are more important than people to you. P.S. You don't have to like the guy, but he's your wife's family, You need to learn to deal with him. Dennis, his a-hole for showing up without confirmation. And I'm guessing the whole tuxedo thing was him making a statement he should have not been making at someone else's wedding. Though his behavior was totally provoked by you, at least in part. The in-laws, a-hole for berating you at your own wedding. All of you, not taking into account what the bride actually wanted, and being self-centered a-holes on her wedding day. Honestly, if I was your wife, I'd have left my own wedding and left you sorry a-holes to fight it out. The lot of you. I have to disagree. Opie is not an a-hole. His brother-in-law purposely wore the outfit he did as an act of disrespect. He wore clothes that specifically said, "This wedding is an afterthought." The brother-in-law was purposely trying to provoke Opie. He was not provoked by Opie. Everyone sucks here. You fell right into his trap. He wanted to make you look like the a-hole. He knew what he was doing. He's a pile of toxic goo parading around as a man. I'm sorry he's your brother-in-law. And if you think this is the last time he will pull crap like this, you're mistaken. Not an a-hole. And why was it your wife is pissed, or more, as you were at her brother's behavior? Exactly. If the roles were reversed and the groom's sister showed up in a wedding dress, everyone would be singing a different tune, saying she isn't the a-hole for kicking the sister out, but because Opie is a man and the wedding isn't about him. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for taking my sister on my honeymoon instead of leaving her with my parents? My 36 female baby sister 12 female has autism, sensory processing disorder, ADHD, and multiple chronic physical illnesses. She started getting diagnosed with everything when she was almost 5. After a year, my parents decided they couldn't deal with her and asked me and my then boyfriend, now fiancé 38 male, to adopt her. My fiancé and I are getting married at the end of next month and we'll be going to Hawaii for a week for our honeymoon. We've had a hard time finding someone to take care of her, and we asked my fiancé's parents to take her. They said no, but offered to pay for her to come on our honeymoon and any extra childcare costs and accommodations that she would need. We thought about it for a while and decided to take her. She's so excited for the trip, and the hotel has an amazing daycare that she can go to when my fiancé and I need some time away from her. My parents came over last weekend, and the first thing my sister told them was that she's coming to Hawaii with us. My parents asked why, and I said we couldn't find anyone to take care of her because of how complex her needs are, so we decided to take her with us. They offered to take her for the week, but we declined because 1. They love spending time with her, then get tired of her after around an hour. 2. They ignore her sensory issues. 3. They admit they are not capable of taking care of her. I told them why we declined, and my mom started yelling at me for making them out to be bad parents. They also refused to admit that we're her parents and hates when she calls them grandma and grandpa. They are not speaking to us and are threatening to not come to the wedding. So I wanted to know if I was the a-hole. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your parents were so incapable of caring for your sister that you had to adopt her. You can't trust your parents to care for your sister unsupervised for any length of time. Also, you should uninvite them from your wedding. They are toxic. They also refuse to admit that we're her parents and hates when she calls them grandma and grandpa. Guess they should have been actual parents and not have their adult daughter adopt her then. Can't have your cake and eat it too. Not the a-hole. They're bad parents, or they would be if they were raising her. Frankly, if they don't come to your wedding, they're showing that their fantasy world is more important than you or your sister. Yeah. Being manipulative and trying to guilt Opie by threatening not to go to the wedding after giving up their own child to Opie does make them bad parents. Not the a-hole. I actually think that's really sweet to bring her along. It's a shame you're not able to find suitable care to leave her with and have the honeymoon all to yourselves. But it's awesome that you're willing to take her with you rather than leave her with someone who cannot cope with her needs. And at least with the daycare, you'll get some alone time together, and she'll still be able to be with you two and have a good holiday whilst getting appropriate care when in their daycare. Her nanny can take care of her overnight. She just wasn't available the week of the honeymoon, so we'll go away for a weekend without her soon. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not paying for college? I'll preface this by saying that I, 33 male, am a widower. My wife Lee died 3 years ago due to hemorrhaging after giving birth to our twins, Dan and Sam. We had older sons 6 years ago and married shortly after college. I've been successful in my career, as was my wife. So I guess one might call us upper middle class? After Lee died, my sister moved in. My wife and I agreed she could stay with us during college 3 months before twins were born. My sister was 19 at the time, and her university was less than a mile from our home. Although I am still thankful to this day, sister helped me hire a nanny, a housekeeper, and would even watch the twins and my son on occasion. Wife had worked remotely, so we never needed them before and split the cooking and housework 50-50. Except the yard, I have horrible allergies, so I pay for service. I had the money, and to show my appreciation, I paid for tuition and fees. Fast forward, it's 3 years later. Sister will graduate summa cum laude and has several job offers. I'm very proud of her. She's helped me on weekends when I was forced to go out of town and watched the children. Nanny and housekeeper only work Monday to Friday. I don't think I need a nanny or housekeeper when I'm there to take care of the children or cook/clean up. Problem? My brother-in-law, 23 male, is demanding that I pay his tuition/housing/etc. He says he deserves it because it is what his sister would have wanted. He does not live with me, nor has he ever helped me with his nephews and niece. He just expects it. I've gotten several awkward phone calls from my wife's family because he is telling everyone that I am paying. Am I the a-hole if I say no? Not the a-hole. Your sister was providing a service in exchange for education, as in bartering. Your brother-in-law has nothing to barter with. I am curious as to how he knows about your financial arrangement with your sister though, since finances are nobody else's business. Besides, you have to save up for your children's college now anyways. Why would you be a a-hole when all your brother-in-law have done to you and your family is ask for money? You've given money to your sister because you got something in return, which would else be given to someone else to do the things for you. If your wife was alive, maybe you two would have helped him even if he didn't do anything. But your income is half than it would be, and you would still have to spend money on you and your children. The alternative to you paying your sister is not giving him money, it's giving someone else money, not a hole. I saw this and wanted to reply. I never asked my sister to watch the children. She volunteered. I asked her about it a few minutes ago because it made me worried that I made her feel compelled to watch them/help me after my wife died. Sister says, "Because you're my brother, you doofus." Her words verbatim. I paid off her schooling to show my appreciation for her sacrifices these last 3 years. Wow, it will be 4 years in November. I guess when I paid off sister's schooling debt, she'd told our parents, who are still good friends with Lee's parents. I've decided not to pay for brother-in-law's schooling. I know my wife would have at least given him a gift or something, so I think a microwave and mini fridge and maybe a new printer will be the extent of my contribution to his education. I saw the bit about paying someone else's tuition wouldn't be any different. I think a memorial scholarship at her alma mater might be something I discuss with my financial advisor. Thanks. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my estranged father that he and his wife can be grandparents to his other kids' future children? My parents divorced when I was 15 because my dad had been cheating on my mom with a coworker of hers. My younger brother was 13 and my sister was 12. I became estranged from him around that time. My siblings followed suit. My full siblings anyway. I have 2 half-siblings who are older than me and my other siblings. They were jerks to us because we were angry our dad hurt our mom, etc. And they made it clear if we didn't want our dad, they didn't want us. So ever since, I consider him my estranged father and not even my dad. I am now married and I have 2 little boys. I only see my father and his wife once every 3 years or so when there's a paternal family event of some kind. Last year, there was a milestone birthday for my grandpa, and throughout the day, people went to see him. When I was leaving, my father showed up and he saw that I had kids. After that, he tracked me down on social media and started saying how he and his wife would love to be grandparents, and how she was unable to have kids, so no buy grandkids and all that stuff. I replied once and told him that he could ask his other kids if she could be grandma to their future kids because they were not welcome in my life or the life of my kids. He responded several more times, but I just ignored him. He then decided to get my great aunt involved and say that my boys deserve to have more loving grandparents if their grandparents are willing, and that I made his wife cry when I wrote what I did, and that was insensitive. My reply was, she was insensitive to sleep with a married man with 3 children, but apparently that was no big deal. And it goes beyond that, to how she treated my mom at work while the affair was happening. She even got fired over it, because she was bullying another colleague of my mom's too. It's not the type of family I want around my kiddos. They'll be fine with a loving grandma from me and 2 loving grandpas from their dad. So tell me, am I the a-hole for what I said? Edited to add, 2 kids was meant to be 3. It was a typo, sorry. My father has 5 kids total. 3 with my mom, 2 with the woman before he married my mom. Now for the top comments. Your estranged father had a chance to stay in your life, and he blew it. He also could have tried to reconnect with you later, and didn't until he found out, years after the fact, that you had something he wanted. Your kids. Sucks to be him. Oh, and the woman who helped destroy your parents' marriage is sad now that she doesn't get to swoop in and play granny? Ha 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 ha, bug off. Not the a-hole. So much agree with this. He could have started with, I'm sorry, or I regret that we don't have a relationship. Nope. You owe me and my affair partner, /wife, /bully your children's time and attention. With the side order of your children better be enthusiastic at having these new strangers around. So you better facilitate a grandparent-grandchild dynamic. No way. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. After that, he tracked me down on social media and started saying how he and his wife would love to be grandparents, and how she was unable to have kids, so no buy grandkids and all that stuff. He only wants back in your life because his wife cannot have children of her own, and they want to scratch the grandparent itch. There is nothing in his request that shows any remorse for what he did, and what they put you through as a child. They're both selfish. You're absolutely right to keep your boys away from these toxic people, and I would block anyone who tries to convince you otherwise. Your estranged father and his wife made their bed when they embarked on their affair. Now they're going to have to lie in it. Yep, only wanted her when it was a benefit to him and his wife. Forget that noise. He's not worth Opie's time. Not the a-hole. You owe this man nothing, and his audacious demands to play family now don't require gentle response. You were right to put your foot down fast and hard. I doubt anything less would have gotten through his skull. He chose her. If he doesn't get grandkids through her, oh well, it's not your problem. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my stepson with his son's surgery after he told me I'll never be his grandfather? I got married to my wife when her son was 14 and his mom was single 4 years before meeting me. My stepson was respectful, but he made it clear that he already had a dad. I'm not his father and that I shouldn't try to act like it. I respected his wish. Had no problem with him treating me in a formal and respectful manner. I still handle his education, /daily needs, /medical bills, even if no one told me to. He was just a kid living under my roof, so I felt responsible for his well-being until he could be responsible for himself. I do need to say that I lost a son while serving the military. He was young and had his whole life ahead of him. We had a lot in common. He loved soccer, cars, country music. Loved Eric Church, Alan Jackson, and Crystal Gayle. I listen to those singers every day to get some comfort. Some people say I'm lucky my son's a hero and things like that. Some say that I must be devastated. Let me tell you, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't feel the way I felt when I received that devastating news the first time. It's all I can say. My stepson had a baby boy with his wife last year. He made it clear that this baby is not my grandson and I'm not his grandfather. I was only able to visit when my wife visited. No photos allowed, no mentioning of the baby. No gifts from me specifically. Nothing. I wasn't allowed to attend his first birthday, and the gift I sent was returned. I'm not going to lie. It hurt. It still hurts, but I absolutely respected his words. I knew there were lines that I cannot cross, and so I kept to myself. It's not easy, and although my son is not here, I enjoy looking at pictures and videos of when he was younger. Thinking I was lucky I had him in my life, especially after how my stepson treated me. I don't hate him for it. I'm just grateful for the times I had with my son. A few days ago, my stepson's baby was in the hospital. My wife visits alone. She came home and said that my stepson needs help for his son's surgery and wanted me to pay for it. I said I'm sorry, but no. She looked confused and asked if I was serious, and then called me selfish and said that I'm ignoring my grandson and acting like I don't care. I told her that is not my grandbaby, and she and my stepson have been acting like it for an entire year. Now they want me to pay? She guilted me by saying I was being cruel to not help family. She and my stepson kept arguing with me and got others involved to shame me for not helping. My stepson argued that I'm trying to hold my money over his head and had no right to do that. They didn't stop arguing with me, telling me I needed to pay. His aunt called me too, saying I needed to help my grandchild because I have the money. But I'm not obligated to, yet they call me cruel and selfish. Now for the top comments. Not at a-hole. Your stepson has made it clear from the start that you are not his dad, and you're not his son's grandfather. Expecting anything from you, especially money, isn't called for. If he wanted you to have any kind of relationship with his son, then you would be allowed to see him without your wife being there. Have photos with the baby. Be able to talk about the baby. But nope, none of that. So I wouldn't want to help with this random child's surgery, as bad as it sounds. Yes, and I'm not doing this out of spite as he claims. He knows how it is. His mother knows they both had no problem treating me like that, and I don't talk about it because I didn't want to look pathetic. But everyone just wants to please my stepson and his wife now. I bet they're promising him that they'll pressure me enough to pay. Unfortunately, I don't think things will change. It's been like this for years. My wife says she respects her son's wishes and isn't trying to force him to do anything, but I didn't ask anything from anyone. Sir, I mean no disrespect at all, but why are you with this woman at all? Not only allowed this treatment as a piggy bank towards you, but encouraged it, and now demands it. You deserve better. Please don't stay in this family. They don't respect you. They don't care about you, just your wallet. And they certainly don't love you. Not the a-hole. Your stepson wants you to finance a child's surgery that he won't even let you be around. He's using you. I'd tell him to have the real grandfather shell out the money. Yes, this. It was made clear someone else is the child's grandfather. To the point, they sent his gift back after forbidding him from attending the child's birthday party. So the birthday gift wasn't acceptable, but Olopi's money is? They can sashay that BS back and over to his real grandfather and get the money from him. Not the a-hole. So basically, they want you to be dad/grandfather only when it's convenient for them. No. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-husband's girlfriend to stay in her lane when it comes to my kids? 5 years ago, while I was in the waiting part of labor, you know, where the epidural kicks in but you're hours away from the main event, my then husband told me that he needed to get some food because he was starving and is hungry. In his hurry, he left his phone behind him, which every few seconds kept getting notifications. Me thinking it was his or my family checking up, I asked the midwife pass me the phone. He literally was updating his mistress on my labor. And how can I put this sweet talking her about how even though he was with me, she still had his full attention? Let's just say when he came back, it was showtime after me screaming the place down, and my midwife, amazing woman, kicked him out and my sister ended up coming in. Because there's a word count, I'll cut it short. I moved in with my parents with my 5 kids. We got divorced and they got together. I'm civil to my ex for my kids' sake, but I barely speak to her. She's my cousin, by the way. My kids, 15 female, 13 male, 13 male, 8 male, and 5 female, have recently become obsessed with Harry Potter. Since my 15-year-old made a TikTok and lots of people pointed out that my 4 oldest look like the Weasleys, my twins have the same personalities as Fred and George. So this brings me onto the situation. My youngest since then has been dressing up as a different character every week, like Harry, Draco, Snape, the dude from Twilight. You can see the pattern of it just being male characters. Personally, I don't care. If my kids are happy, I'm happy. Which brings me onto the situation today. While I was dropping them off, my ex's girlfriend asked to speak to me about my kids, especially my youngest. She basically told me it was weird that they weren't right in the head, so we're gonna do something about the situation at hand. I told her she slept with her cousin's husband, so her ideas on what people should do aren't something I want my kids are picking up, and that my kids are fine. She isn't their mom, nor will they ever see her as such, and that they hate her guts. Her doing, but that's another story. And finally, she should stay in her lane when it comes to my kids. Kids weren't there when it happened, and I left. A few hours later, Ex calls me screaming, saying I was a a-hole and that his girlfriend has been crying all day about the mother thing because she can't have kids and that I need to apologize. So that's why I'm here. Not a-hole. She was way out of line for trying to tell you how to parent your kids. They can do what they want when they're at their dad's house. She should just talk to her boyfriend? So weird. No need to bring you into this. My oldest has recently started going to her dad's again because his girlfriend started drama about my daughter being on TikTok. She literally talked him into demanding she delete the app, so maybe they wanted me to be the bad guy. What's your guys' legal custody arrangement? We both agreed on 50-50, but because of the bad relationship my kids have with the ex's girlfriend, and over the current situation with you know what, it's more 80-20. You are definitely not an a-hole. They're not her kids. Wearing weird stuff is normal for young kids. Also, I feel for her that she can't have kids, but that doesn't give her the right to meddle with your kids, and she lost my sympathy the second she started an affair with your ex-husband. She sounds horrible. Wearing weird stuff is normal for young kids. You know what I do when my kid wears weird stuff? I take pictures and send them to family. They love it, especially when it's a mashup of 2 to 4 costumes that has some repurposed home item or a homemade craft. It's not just what kids do, it's super adorable. This lady is nuts. Edit. My oldest rang me to collect them. Apparently, my ex had hidden all their costumes. He has a garden like the Malfoy one, so they wanted to do TikToks. And his girlfriend held a family meeting about the Harry Potter obsession, and basically belittled my kids, especially my 5-year-old. The second youngest videoed her, which is now on Facebook. I had my sister come with me, and I told my ex I'll be going for full custody. I took my kids out to the car at that stage, but my sister just let loose. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit my dad's girlfriend's kids? Some background information. My, 16 female, parents got divorced 2 years ago, and about 6 months after, my dad started dating his girlfriend, Molly. My mom is a science and math tutor, and I work at the same place as a math and reading tutor. Molly is an elementary school teacher with 2 kids, Ben, 10 male, and Alex, 7 male. My parents have split custody, so I spend 1 week at my mom's and 1 week at my dad's. With the way I'm doing school right now, I have biology the week I am at my dad's and my other class the week I am at my mom's. Because Molly's a teacher, she really enjoys helping out with homework and tries to help me, even though she doesn't understand biology as well, because she teaches younger kids. I had a big project due this week, and I was struggling, so I called my mom for help yesterday. Molly did not like this, and demanded I hang up on the phone and ask her for help. She didn't understand the work, and left, so I ended up just texting my mom to figure it out. Because everyone is at home right now, I am babysitting Ben and Alex while we're all on school calls. So if Ben or Alex have a question during the day, they come to me because Molly's teaching, and I tutor their grade. Molly doesn't like this and always tells them to wait until she's done teaching to ask her questions. But this isn't really a good option because she's teaching for 6+ hours a day, and they can't wait that long. She still does any homework with them, and gives them some activities she's done in her class for fun, after she's done work. She came out of her office for lunch today and saw me helping Ben with some work and got mad, and told me to not answer any questions they have. I didn't listen, and continued to help them when they asked me. Now here is where I might be the a-hole. After dinner tonight, my dad said that Molly told him about what happened, and I can't help Ben and Alex anymore because they're Molly's kids, and what she says goes. I told him that if I'm not allowed to help them, I'm not going to watch them on their Zoom classes because they will just distract me with questions I'm not allowed to answer. My dad basically said I'm a nail for this, and it's not my job to parent Molly's kids. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. They set the rules. They can't get mad when you decide to comply with them in ways they didn't expect. Exactly. Opie gets told she can't do anything for the kids, so she decides not to do anything for the kids. Opie, you're setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Your dad's girlfriend decided to have 2 kids, and your dad accepted that when he started dating her and moved in together. It's on them to find a solution to their current problem, not you. If you want to watch the kids, and dad and girlfriend are fine with you handling homework when you are watching them, that's absolutely perfect. But they don't get to set arbitrary rules. Tell them it's either you watch them and help them as you are doing, or you don't watch them. This isn't a pick and mix shop. Not day haul. Molly seems to have a bad case of needing to be the smartest, most helpful person in the room, to the point of not being able to recognize or admit when that attitude's not actually helpful. And your dad's enabling her. If they won't ease off, see if you can talk them into considering family counseling. Or worst case, talk to your mom about readjusting the visiting arrangement. Molly sounds like Peggy Hill. Maybe we just call this Peggy Hill syndrome from now on. Not a-hole. Even your dad said so. It's not your job to parent the kids. So what's the issue here? That last sentence made it seem like your dad is agreeing with you. Sorry if it wasn't clear. Basically, my dad wants me to watch them, but just ignore their questions. I said I will either watch them and help, or not watch them at all. He basically said that me helping them with the questions was parenting them, and that I need to stop. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.